Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be. I am your humble host, Mr. David Knoll, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers. And I greet you with the love and the honor of the infinite creator. And I continue to pray that each and every day, each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings from the universe. Well, that's interesting. All of my hats took a tumble. I'm still trying to set up this new computer that Robert V um, got for me for my Christmas present. And thank you, Robert. Hey, Miss Chloe. And at the moment, it's on a different camera, and the settings are a little weird, and it looks dark in here. But so anyway, so as um, a lot of folks, listening out there to the universe, I saw a thing the other day, and I was listening in. And the gentleman was talking about how um, if you didn't belong to a church and organized, sure enough, one of those listed churches, then if you were spiritual, then you must belong to a cult. And as I was listening, I was screaming and I was going, no, 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 no. Spirituality is not a cult. And so that without a religion, anyone who believes simply in spirituality, however you may have attained that relationship with you and the universe and you and your spirit, and it was like no, that it, you're it's a cult. Well, wait a minute now. I'm just talking about being spiritual. I didn't talk about, worship anything. If you go to a Christian church, they talk about worship, you know, when I just, two smelly fingers. I love that. Hi, how you doing? And so, but anyway, so there's some folks out there who, I've talked about this before where Christians believe that if you don't belong to a Christian church, then your faith or your spirituality doesn't count. And it's like, Robert says, I am spiritual, but I subscribe to nothing. Well, the only thing I subscribe to is that I'm spiritual. You know what I mean, Robert? So, yeah, I'm doing fairly good. Smelly or fingers. I would rather, eight fingers. What you doing there? You sound like an old mugster, gangster. But anyway, so in listening to some of these folks, I'm like, now are these Christians? Are they trolling for more members? And I'm like, but wait a minute, that is not the. In my humble opinion, that's no way to gain fans. If you're saying, if you're spiritual, you must belong to a cult. But wait a minute. Now, Robert and I, we've talked about this over the years, and we just got done with show number 155, storytelling and everything, Native American legends. Um, but, if you don't belong to some type of organized religion, even though I've been spiritual and I believe in spirituality and I believe in all these things, and I don't believe in worshiping things. I don't believe in that. The creator does not need worshiped. The creator is the creator. And the simple fact that we try, for those of us who are spiritual, we try to lead, good lives, spiritual lives. And that's all the creator asks of us. This worship thing, this, got to build cathedrals, got to do, oh, the God above, the God of this. Well, God's all around us. Oh, wait a minute. What religion teaches that? You know, well, hang on now. Quit being like that. So, but there are so many people that, are subscribed to this thing about religion, and that if you have to worship God, you have to worship some unforeseen entity. No, wait a minute, that sounds like a cult to me. I believe the Catholic Church is a cult. I grew up in the Catholic Church, was an altar boy and all that kind of stuff, pedophiled by a couple of priests. Ooh, love the Catholic Church, who's never apologized for that, by the way. But that somehow Catholic Church, you worship, you got to bow down, you got to do all these things, all these church rules in order to be a part of their club or their cult, I would say, because you have to do all these things to belong. If you're spiritual, you ain't got to do nothing except be spiritual. If you're spiritual, you can feel it. You kind of accept it. But then society would like to point their finger at you and me and say, but, you don't, Hawkeye, you don't belong to a religion. Nope. I used to, gave it up, gave it up for Lent. If that's a joke. But so I gave it up for Lent. And it's like, but wait a minute, but, I'm always talking about spiritual things. Well, that's cult like. Well, wait a minute now. I'm not a cult leader. Well, maybe I am a leader in trying to be spiritual and to help people to find their own spirituality. You know, um, my discussions, our discussions. I know y'all leave comments in the things. Um, yeah, the more I know, the more I question, and that's sort of part of how it is. So, but if you're let me say this about that too, Robert. If you're stuck in a religion, you can't learn anything more about spirituality. Hawkeye, how could you say such a thing? Well, because the religion confines you. Because, you can't have any other gods before me. Part of the Ten Commandments, right? Thou shalt not have any other gods before me, and thou shalt, keep Sunday the holy day and all that kind of, so several of the Ten Commandments are all about God, and about the worship, right? Well, but without the Ten Commandments, there's only one basic rule, and that's to do no harm. So, yeah, people can't wrap their head around being spiritual without a religion. That's absolutely true. And that is one of the biggest reasons why I got saved, to be able to start doing these YouTube videos all those years ago. And all the videos that I've put up over the years has all been about how to find your spirituality without worshiping anything. And I'm always talking about how I continue to pray that each and every day, that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings from the universe. Hey, Steve Clark, how are you? God bless you, my friend. I hope you're doing well. I owe you a phone call one of these days soon, I promise. I keep things keep getting in the way. I forgot a doctor's appointment, had to go to that. Had to, forgot about that, had to go do that. And it's all been good, but it's just like I can only think this far ahead. Katniss, good morning, my dear. So, so I know I should write down some of these folks' name sometime. And it's like you say, well, Hawkeye, who was that person that you listened to? Well, I don't want to use any names, right? I just want to. This is I listened to this podcast, and or this particular person's view in this podcast, and I'm all for go ahead and have your opinions. But one of the things that bothers me is that these so called Christians will point their finger at us as a collective, I guess. We're members of the League of Like Minded Beings. Don't forget that. So, but that they'll point their finger at me and say, well, you can't be spiritual. Jesus said you got to do blah, blah, blah. No, go quoting the Bible, And I'm like, but Jesus went east. He left Jerusalem. He left all that to travel east to learn about the Eastern religions. And it's been coming out more and more. But Sister Helene taught me this back in 1970, right? From Tampa Catholic. And so she said, Jesus was a Buddhist, Dave. And I'm like, what? So after all these years, she was right. Of course, she had studied at the Vatican, right? So, but anyway, here's all these things and all these rules, but God or the Great Spirit does not put up all these rules and regulations. God didn't say you will have a church. You're going to have these little biscuits that you're going to have some wine. You're going to say these prayers, and then people are going to come and they're going to kneel down. They're going to worship me. But where in that? No, mankind made up these rules about how to worship God in the correct fashion. Well, can't I just sit here and say a prayer and say, thank you? Oh, that doesn't count, Hawkeye. Why not? Thank you to the universe. Thank you to the creator. That don't count. Well, what do you mean that don't count? I resent that statement. If I say I love to the universe, thank you, creator, I don't have to worship anything. That prayer should go like right through. In other types of faith, Catholic faith, you got to have somebody to intercede for you. You got to have somebody. I'm going to say a prayer, but it ain't going to go to the creator. It's going to go to somebody else first, and then they're going to send it along to the creator. The priest is going to validate that prayer so that when I say a prayer, he's going to go, yep, okay, that's good. You know, that's a good prayer. Yeah, that can go on up. Yeah. All right. I agree. That prayer is good. And so, but hang on. The universe teaches us if you listen. And as a shaman in training, one of the things you have to do is listen. You have to be aware of things. And Robert V put it up, the more the more I learn, the more I have questions, the more I don't understand, in a lot of ways. So, and as the card said tonight, for every question that we have for the universe, there are answers out there. for us. We might need somebody to help us interpret them, but as far as gaining the knowledge, it's direct. We have a direct line to the other side. No third party for me. Yeah, Steve, I've thought about you the other day, and I just couldn't call you at the moment. Yep, Robert, listen to your hearts. Oh, did somebody lost a friend of mine? And their son passed away. Oh, I'm very sorry, Katniss. Prayers to the family, because the person who's passed on is already passed on. I don't mean that rudely, but let's pray for those who are standing, who are still here. Yep. Good night, Robert. Thanks, my buddy. I appreciate it. And y'all give Robert a thumbs up. He bought this new computer that I'm still trying to set up. So thank you, Robert. I love you, my brother. So with the things about religion, every religion requires you to worship something, to worship a deity. But some religions, you got to worship more than one. So, but in the Christian religion, with the Ten Commandments, it's one God, one person, nobody else, except for the saints in heaven and the elders who sit at the right hand of God in heaven with the elders and with the ancient ones. Wait a minute, how many people are up in this heaven you guys are talking about? Well, but you got to worship them. You got to bow your heads and you got to pray fervently and you got to ask for their forgiveness. Well, hang on, what did I do wrong? Well, there was that original sin. But wait a minute. Hang on. Wait. I have to worship something I cannot see or feel because this religion says that in order for me to be a good religionite, so that I can be washed in religiosity, I must learn how to worship these deities, these beings, these unforeseen things. Okay, so, but you're telling me that because I'm just spiritual and I don't have a religion, I'm the one must belong to a cult. So, in listening to some of these folks, I have to listen to the other side. And I listen and I go, so God, the creator, is such a mean sumbitch that if you don't worship him, he will smite your ass. What? That's right. If you don't worship God and the this and the that, if you don't worship, he will smite you. He will bring rain down, locusts and stuff upon you. Wait a minute. How come I just can't be spiritual? How come I just can't say, thank you, Great Spirit? Thank you, Creator. But you're telling me because I don't worship something, that prayer does not get through. It doesn't reach the other side. Well, as most people are starting to learn that God is all around us, God resides in the quantum. God is part of it. In fact, God probably is the quantum. All right. The creator is the quantum field that folks are just starting to, and over the years, I've just called it the cosmic goo. And so we are all a part of this cosmic goo. But wait a minute, I don't worship the cosmic goo. Oh, great cosmic goo. It almost sounds like a guru, right? Oh, great cosmic goo, I worship you because you're the great cosmic goo. You're like jello, cosmic goo. No, 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 no. Wait, wait, wait. The God is not made of cosmic goo. God makes up the cosmic goo. Well, what the hell's the difference? God is not the cosmic goo, but you're saying that the Great Spirit is the cosmic goo. Sort of. But the real God, the God that you must worship, the God of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and all them other creepy folks from the Bible. You know, them, you gotta worship that guy, the God of Abraham. So, with hanging around with Native American folks, they just talk about the Great Spirit. The Great Spirit is within all of us. The Great Spirit resides in all of us. Even the bad people, the Creator resides in them. And people said, well, why? Because the Creator created it all, even the bad parts, even those parts we don't like. And you say, well, why did God create the bad stuff? And the simple answer is this: God created the bad stuff so that the good folks would learn lessons. How you going to learn a lesson if you never stub your toe? How you going to know how to, put on a Band-Aid if you never cut yourself on the hand or something? How you going to know if you don't experience something? So you're walking down the road and everything's groovy and you never run into any problems. But then one day you're walking down the road, ain't a cloud in the sky, and you're just humming along, and all of a sudden a storm comes up. And you're going, wait a minute, I didn't bring a raincoat. If I knew it was going to rain, I would have stayed to the house. And so the next thing you know, there's a rainstorm and there's thunder and lightning and all these terrible things, and you're getting soakedy wet, and you're halfway between the house and wherever you're going. And so what do? Go stand under a tree? Well, they tell you not to stand under a tree in a lightning storm. Well, but I'm going to stand out there in the middle of the field. I can get struck by lightning out there too. But so most of the time, I'll find a tree to get under. They tell you not to do that. But anyway, so there you are standing up underneath the tree, and there's lightning all around. And you go, what a horrible day. This is terrible, right? And you go, but the other side of you inside goes, wait a minute, this ain't terrible. We really needed this rain. It hasn't rained in a month. And I know it's lightning and thundering and all that kind of stuff, but we need the rain. The flowers and the trees needed the rain. So you are uncomfortable, but you have learned a lesson, didn't you? Well, but this bad dark storm and it rained on me and everything. But right, it's just water. And that's one of the things that you learn. You go, well, I got rained on, but it is just, after all, it is just water. And so what did I learn from the lesson? Well, maybe in the lesson, I should watch the weather report that said that we've got a front coming through and there will be pop-up thunderstorms in the area. And so I could have brought my umbrella just in case. But I didn't listen so I learned several lessons. I should listen to the weather report. I should maybe, on days like this, it is the fall and almost winter, and we do have these kind of things pop. So if I should be aware of my surroundings. So there are a bunch of lessons I learned out of this dark cloud that rained on me. But it was bad. It ruined my day. It did these things. It got me wet. All that's bad, right? Well, not necessarily, right? So we learn lessons. So why are there negative things? Why are there poisonous snakes? Why are there lions and tigers and bears? Well, they all need a place to live too, but it's also to teach us lessons. And a lot of folks just don't pay attention. Now, I would say, personally, myself, that they have their head stuck too far in a book. Now, what book would that be? Well, those religiousites, speaking about the Christians, got their nose so far in the Bible that they can't bring it out to look around at the rest of the world. Because to them it's either Jesus or the devil. Well, that's the devil. Well, that's evil. That's the devil. Well, that's the devil working his plans. Well, that thunderstorm was sent by the devil. Well, these bad things that happened to us, sent by the devil. Sometimes shit just happens. It ain't got nothing to do with the devil. It has nothing to do with another entity. It's just nature doing its thing. Well, it can't be that. It's got to be God. The devil's got to have a part in this. And well, God created all, even the devil. Yep. And so God created the 4 seasons. It's wintertime. Down here in the South, you would be surprised in that, it's hot outside. Feels like summertime, It's like, wait a minute, is this December? But we've had Decembers like this before. Ain't nothing new. Global warming. But I haven't had to burn much firewood, which is good because my back has been hurting like a mother. Cheers, everybody. I know it ain't time. I just taking it. So thinking about that thunderstorm I just described, another person's out there dancing in the rain, right? So the person under the tree's going, God, I can't believe it ruined my day. It's raining outside. This other person is literally out there dancing in the rain, saying, go ahead, hit me with that lightning, kind of pretending, but because they're joyful and glad because they've listened to Mother Earth and they have been praying for rain. The other person is like, God, it had to rain on today and a rain one day. And why can't you look at the fact that we need the rain? Now, if you lived in England and it rained all the time or something, or Seattle, or, it rains all the time, well, okay. But, if you're down in the South or like I am, you look outside and it's nice and clear. A couple hours later, storm pops up and, that's the way it is down here. So, but one side is cursing God and the other side is praising the Creator by dancing in the rain and saying thank you. And the dance is the energy that is being grateful to the Creator, being grateful to the universe. Thank you for the rain. Ooh, thank you for the rain. Dun, 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 dun. Thank you for the rain. And the other person is just shaking his fist and cursing. Now, is the person who's cursing the rain, do they have the devil in them? Hold on to that thought a second. The person who's cursing the rain in this circumstance, okay? You got the person out there dancing and, and then the person under the tree, curse, 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 right? Does the person who's cursing the rain who happens to be a Christian, by the way, do they, at least momentarily, have the devil in them? Hawkeye, what in the hell are you talking about? because because the person doing the cursing is cursing. Damn you, Rain. What is it? But see, one of the cards, the that I pulled tonight on Robert's channel, Milky Way, is Swan, about grace. There's my frog. It's about grace. And so, um, Swan, talking with Dragonfly to go into the dream time. And Dragonfly was like, you can go on in, but the deal is you have to accept what the Creator has in store for you without trying to change it or whatever that you. And so Swan agrees and is accepted into the dream time. And so when she comes out of the dream time, she is this beautiful swan instead of being an ugly duckling. So you say, what's that? And Swan says, I have accepted all that the Creator has in store for me. And so it's like, ta-da, you win the prize, right? And the prize is the knowledge, the understanding, the graciousness of the Creator, the awareness of things all around you. And so when you accept what God has in store for you, the Creator, then things kind of fall into place. So, no offense to the person cursing standing under the tree because they're getting wet, is that they have not accepted that which God has put forward to them. What do you mean, Hawkeye? Well, the thunderstorm and the rain was a lesson, not a curse. When you shake your fist and curse that thunderstorm, you're cursing me. You're cursing the Mother Earth. You're cursing creation because the rain is necessary. And you, by the way, needed a little rain shower to kind of get your head together. Pay attention, learn a lesson. And one of the lessons is you shouldn't raise your fist and curse the rain like this, because that person out there is dancing in the rain and praising the Great Spirit for sending rain as it's needed. Well, now the person under the tree is still cursing. The person under the tree has not understood the message from, guess where? The message came from God. It came from the Great Spirit. It came from the Creator. And all they could do was curse and swear, and how bad it was. Interrupted their day and ruined their day, so forth, right? So, what's this got to do with being a cult? Well, because I'm out there dancing in the rain and saying hallelujah, thank you, Creator, the person under the tree who goes to a Christian church is going, look at that crazy person out there in the rain and dancing. They only a person who belongs to a cult would be out there dancing in the rain and praising, who is this Great Spirit? It must be they're praising the Great Spirit. That's against the Ten Commandments. Thou shalt not have any other gods before me. But hang on, the Great Spirit there is only one Great Spirit. It's the Great Spirit. Y'all paying attention, Yeah, but God is yeah, but my God is the Great Spirit. God actually works for the Great Spirit. Ooh, that's some weird stuff, ain't it? Thou shalt not have any gods before me. But what if I consider Great Spirit to be that God? Well, but you must belong to a cult in order to believe that. Well, hang on now. I'm just being spiritual. I'm a spiritual being. I feel that the creator is within me. I can feel this something inside my chest. And every time I go outside and take a deep breath and look up, and I just, thank you to the creator and to creation and to the, whoever's out there, right? Yeah, but you're not worshiping anybody. That's true. I am not worshiping anything, not anyone, not anything, but I adore the Creator. Wait, if you adore the Creator, aren't you worshiping? Nah. I adore my grandmother, even though she's passed, but I don't worship her, even though her picture's on the wall over there. I love you, Granny. I know she's in heaven, right? But I do not worship her, but I adore my granny. She's been gone so many years now. I mean, like 40 years kind of thing. I still adore my grandmother, but I don't worship her. So I can adore the Great Spirit. I can adore those things that the Great Spirit has put on this earth for us to enjoy. And, even for snakes. But, if you pay attention, you might not get bit by that snake. If you pay attention to your surroundings, which is the lessons in life, is pay attention, right? You might not get hit by a bus or a car, or you might not get eaten by a bear, or you might that. So there are lots of things. You watch these YouTube videos, shorts, TikTok things, right? People doing the dumbest stuff. Eyes to see and a mind to comprehend. Yep. Oh, Katniss is out. Well, good night. Get another hour of sleep. We'll pray for you too. But anyway, there are a lot of people who can't get their head around the idea that you can be spiritual without going to a church, that you can be spiritual without reading the Bible, that you can be spiritual without worshiping some kind of deity, some kind of entity. And it's like, those are the kinds of things that it's like, well, wait a minute. To me, that's what brings me closer to the Great Spirit. For me, I'm closer to the Creator because I don't have any of these other gods before me. Okay. Well, Dave, but what do you mean? Well, I don't have to worry about the Christ thing. I don't have to worry about the Old Testament. I don't have to worry about all these other things that religion brings with it. I'm a member of the League of Like Minded Beings. And that means my spirituality is right here. My spirituality is in my heart. My spirituality is in my mind and in my thoughts because I really do wish people well. I really do pray for you all and for folks that I don't even know. I do send prayers out to the universe, but I'm not worshiping anything. And I feel that when I say my prayers, because this quantum godlike energy is all around us. I feel as soon as I say those prayers, they are accepted by the universe. They go right in there. Thank you to the universe. Thank you. It goes right there. It goes right in. It doesn't have to go someplace else for my prayers to be heard. And that goes with all of us. But now with religions, you got to pray to God for your prayer to be heard. You got to pray to, you got to pray to an entity. You have to pray to a saint. You got to throw in some kind of something. You got to make sure that there's some kind of religiosity in the prayers that you say, because that's the way you're taught. That's the way. If you are to be accepted by society, you must be willing to give up your sovereignty to go worship at the feet of God. Now, there are folks out there who say, but you don't believe, what about Jesus? I firmly believe in Jesus, even though there's a lot of weirdness when you find out about what went on back then. But do I believe in the Christ consciousness? Absolutely. And I have for a long time, and you can't make me not believe in the Christ consciousness. So, but wait a minute, Dave. You believe in the Christ consciousness? You believe in Jesus? Yeah. But I don't believe in all that other Abrahamic kind of stuff from the Bible, that I have to worship and that I have to do these things. And no, I mean, I can talk to Christ anytime I want to, just by going, hey, Jesus, you out there? Because quantum mechanics and quantum entanglement says that I can talk to God any damn time I please. You just cursed. Yeah, I know. Any dang time I want to, I can have a conversation with the Creator. I can have a conversation with Christ. Do I believe it? Sure. Why not? Because I believe in the quantum field. And they're talking about AI now, having learned all these little qubits of information. And so before, a few years ago, it only recognized like one cube. Now it recognizes 50 of them or something. And so exponentially, AI's gotten smarter. Okay. And we've gotten dumber because we believe this shit. But anyway, but God is in the machine, right? Well, in a way, that's true. But to the other side of this, so do I pray to my computer? Oh, by the way, hey Bob, I haven't said hello to Bob in a while. And I know he feels like we have forgotten him, but I haven't. So Bob is part of the AI. Hey, dead end. I don't believe anyone ever associated spirituality with being a cult. Yeah, these folks I was listening to the other day, I was like, what? Yeah, then they were being, if you don't belong to a religion, then spirituality is cult like, just without any, But at the same time, they were saying a cult requires a leader, right? It requires a Jim Jones or somebody, or some, you know, Reverend Son Young Moon or something. It needs a person in order for it to be a cult. So I was prompted to do this video because I'm like, you guys get on here and we have a chat. And I'm like, spirituality. I talk about spirituality all the time. Am I the to this person, would I be the cult leader? You know, because y'all come to the channel and I do these chats and I try to read what's all going on. Jesus gave a favor to the Father, aka Creator, not to himself. Yeah, Chloe, I agree. Jesus don't, he don't want no bowing down and stuff. Even though they mistake, do this in remembrance of me. Break the bread and change the water into wine and all this other stuff, right? Do this in remembrance of me. He meant sit down to a meal and say a prayer and invite your friends and family, not this stuff, prayer with your head down and the chalice and all that kind of fancy, Christian Catholic stuff. But if you don't do that, then you can't, in the eyes of the churches, you can't have a connection with God. And if you say you do, then you must be part of a cult because you're not religious. But, Hawkeye, what do you worship? Nothing. I adore a bunch of stuff. I give thanks and praise to the Creator. I don't worship anything. So, but then if you don't worship God, then you cannot be on the same level as me, says the other person. And I'm going, but wait a minute. My God told me that I don't have to worship him, her, it. I just have to, you know, be a decent person and try to live my life right. But you don't have religion. Well, that's true. But I do have faith. I have faith in my convictions. I have faith in my spirituality. I have faith in what I can learn from the Creator and from the universe. I have faith in these things, but you don't worship and you don't go to church. You don't get down on bended knee and worship and you're right, I don't. Have there been times when I have gotten on my hands and knees and bowed my head and prayed to the Creator, prayed to Jesus and said, please, I need help? Absolutely. But then you must worship. No, I don't worship them. No, I was just so desperate. Not that I don't say my prayers every day, but I was so desperate in those times that I got on my hands and knees and I pleaded with the Creator. I pleaded with the universe. I need help with this. And eventually I got it, sometimes pretty quick. And knowing that the angels and the universe listens, and I'm very grateful. But I still don't worship anything, but I give thanks to the universe. What? Yeah, I give thanks to the universe because I am a member of the League of Like Minded Beings. And because I am a member and I know other members in the league because we're like minded beings, I like to share the good energy. We share energies together and separately, but we think alike in a lot of ways. Our feelings are the same towards the universe. We all have compassion towards our fellow men and women and folks and other compassion for other stuff. Okay. Compassion for Mother Earth, for crying out loud. Well, wait a minute. Mother Earth is a living entity. And for those of us who are very spiritual, we understand that. But if you go to a church, a religion, and you say, I believe that Mother Earth is a living entity, they go, shame on you. What? Shame on you. That's blasphemous. And you, but wait a minute, but I believe that Mother Earth is a living being, a living entity, a living source of energy. And Mother Earth gives us everything. Don't you believe that? I believe in Jesus. I believe in God. I believe in, you know, we know Draken, any priest or preacher is the cult leaders. Yeah, think Jim Jones. Exactly. And they all, all of those, well, the Reverend Sung Young Moon, he had another thing, but that was a different kind of cult. But they were all trying to use spirituality or a religion to their benefit, right? You must do these things. And so one of the things that kind of got me about this Christian person talking about, I must be part of a cult because I don't believe in religions. I believe religions are for other people, but that you would count me out because I don't have a religion. I gave up religions for spirituality, and you don't understand that. So therefore, I must be speaking the devil. Because thousands of years ago, there were the Gnostics who spoke about such things. And those Gnostic people were pagans. And those Gnostic people that had the gnosis, that spirituality, they were considered by the churches to be pagan cults. So before the Christian church, Gnosticism was like really popular. It was the feeling of the spirit. It was the feeling of the creator. That's gnosis, being good to each other and following nature and wait a minute. So when the Christian church came along, they did things, and it's read back in the documents. They did these things on purpose to try to bring the pagans into Christianity. Guess who the pagans were? Those folks who believe in the Gnostic, the gnosis of life. Wait a minute. So then the Christian church became like the Gnostics. Wait, whoa, hang on. But then anybody who stayed in the gnosis over there stayed with the cult. Huh? Because they chose to not belong to a religion. They chose not to go through all this pomp and circumstance. Oh, you got to go to mass and you got to do all these things and you got to have the chalice and the blood and the wine and the thing and the you got to have all that ritual in order to be religious. In order to be spiritual, you must have ritual. Wait a minute. Just a few years ago, you pointed your finger at us Gnostics, called us pagans, And now you shake your heads and point your finger at us when you used to be like us. Hang on, hang on. We changed religions. Now, hang on, just paying attention here. Now, this is 2,000 years ago, right? So the Gnostics are going, wait a minute. When did you create this religion? Well, it's all about Jesus. Okay. But you don't understand. Jesus was a Gnostic. So you took Gnosticism and turned it in to the Christian Catholic Church that folks, they praise and kneel down and worship to this day. So that's where just being spiritual must be a cult in their eyes. You understand? Because they are Christian. Anybody who ain't a Christian must be in some kind of cult. You're damned forever. You're damned to hell because you are not like us. You don't belong to a religion. Okay. But now, in my non religious state, I can accept you. Not so much your religion, but I can accept you. And I'm proud that even though you got to have your religion, at least you're trying to be spiritual. Now, you, on the other hand, all you can do is point your finger at me and say that I must be controlled by the devil because I will not conform to your religion. But even though I still feel spiritual because I don't belong to your religion, it must be the devil. I must be influenced by the devil. I must be influenced by these evil entities. Well, hang on. You're the one that's worshiping invisible deities and entities. I'm just saying thank you to the great creator, to the great spirit. I'm saying thank you to the universe. You are being specific. I'm not worshiping anything, but I adore the universe. I adore good energy. I'm very grateful and thankful, even for the rain when it might ruin my day. So I can be grateful for a thunderstorm when somebody else is cursing it. Well, but wait, thanking the universe for the rain is very spiritual. Banging on the dash of your car or truck or whatever and shaking your fist at the damn this rain. Not the same. So, but anyway, in my humble opinion, regardless of where it comes from, if you feel spiritual about something, if you're out on the lawn and you're watching the clouds and you're just, man, it's a beautiful day, and that's spiritual. Take it for what it's worth. You got a prayer, it goes right to the universe. If you are sideswiped and misinterpreted and misinformed that you must have a religion in order to be spiritual, I say that's a cult you need to stay away from. Because I accept all kinds of folks, but religious folks can accept me and my spiritualness. I have been told, well, you're not gonna make it to the gates of heaven, and I'm like, but I don't want to go to the gates of heaven. I don't want to go to a gated community, you know. So that there are folks who are going like, well, I'm going to make it to heaven. I know because I go to church. You know because you go to church? Yep. And because I don't go to church, I am damned? Yep. These are Christians condemning me to hell because I don't go to church. Even though I'm spiritual, even though I love Jesus, even though I do all these things and but because I don't belong to a church and because I don't worship, I'm not getting in the pearly gates. Plain and simple, I ain't going. I don't get a ticket to ride the big ride. So with that, I say good. I say I still belong to the collective. I'll stand outside and wave at you as you're on the ride. And it might be that you get on that ride and you can't get off of it. I used to be a carnival barker. I used to be a carny. I used to be a ride jock. And you get somebody and put them on the tilt-a-whirl. Now, most of you know what a tilt-a-whirl is. Tubs go round and round, or sometimes they go backwards. It's harder to get them to spin the opposite way. But then the track goes up and down like this. So you go right down and then you come back up and you go right down. So as a ride jock, and I'd love to run the tilt, and I could ride on the bull plates, which was between the two tubs that went around. And it was absolutely, it's an art form to ride the bull plates on the tilt-a-whirl. But the one thing you could do was you could slow the ride down enough to where the tubs would get to spin, right? So then what would you do? I'd speed the ride up just in time to where when that was going downhill, picked up speed, it would sling that tub around and around and around really fast. Hey, X. Yes. Let me hit this thing again. Might have to reload. But so you go, well, but Dave, well, yeah, well, the folks that got on the ride at first were like, "Who we gonna ride? Spin us around, mister." So by the time I got them spinning around, after 3-4 minutes on the ride, they're like puking, "Mister, let me off!" You know, and just for fun, I give them one more good spin around, which throws them in the back of the tub. Then they're like, puking all over the place. Like, but I thought you said to spin you. I thought you said you told me you could handle it. So now here's these people going to want to get into heaven. They want to sit on a cloud and play the lute all the time. And so it's like, so to me, it kind of reminds me of, being a carny. You want to ride the tilt-a-whirl? Yeah. You say you want to spin around? Yeah. You say you love it and you can take it? Yeah. Come on in. Where's your ticket? Go on, get in that tub right over there. And next thing you know, you start up the ride real slow and it's up and undulating, right? And you wait to see which tubs are going to start to do their little spinny thing. So then you give it a little bit of gas. And what it does is it speeds all the tubs actually hold still and the ride turns. But then then the tubs pick up speed and go round and round on the bull plate. So, but you give that tilt-a-whirl a little bit of gas, and it gets the tub to spinning. Then you slow it down just a mite, and then it goes to spinning a little more because it's slowed down, and it's still got inertia. And so as it's going around, you give it the juice again and round again. So by the time they get done, folks that swore up and down They could take the spinning. They loved the tilt-a-whirl, but they didn't know that Hawkeye Two Feathers was going to be running the joystick, as it were. There was a stick handle. So, but anyway, so these folks who claim they know what's going on in heaven, they claim they know who God is. They claim that they're putting their faith and their trust in this deity they've never seen, and all this other kind of stuff. So it's like, okay, if that's what you believe, but here's the thing: just like riding the tilt-a-whirl, you may like it at first, but you may not like it in the long run. So, and something else too about the spirituality and about God and stuff. Then it's like having to worship to get there, you know? Do you have to worship? Or can you just take a walk and have a chat with God? Can I take a walk and go out in the garden? Or if I don't have a garden, maybe I go down to the park, or maybe you can just walk through the city, because I've lived in the city too, but not for a long time. I guess I'm saying honor and practice your religion, live with it all your heart, and stop acting out of it and going against it. To stand his teaching. Christians tend to be offended by the rules. Well, see, Chloe, in spirituality, there are no rules. But to be a Christian, you've got to follow all of this stuff. You got to believe in the Ten Commandments. You got to believe in this. You got to believe in that. And you got to have the faith in that. Look, can I just say, for me, I believe in Jesus. Ain't that enough? But Dave, where are you going to church? Where's that? I just said I believe in Jesus. And I believe in the Christ consciousness. But that's not Christianity. Yeah, but it's based on it's supposed to be. But I don't believe in all this ritual and stuff. Well, then you can't be right, Dave. Why not? I just said I believe in Jesus. I believe in the Christ consciousness. And if you'd been with me along the way, you will know that I have devoted myself to be a soldier, a warrior for Christ. Years ago, I stated this on this channel. So I've stated that I am a warrior for Christ, but you don't go to church. Nope. Because when Jesus came back to teach, he taught out in the fields, he taught out in the open. He went into the synagogue and said, get this stuff out of here. Money changers. And he was pissed off about all of the sacrificing, all the killing of birds and goats and stuff. They did feed people, but that wasn't the point. In the old religion back in those days, they had to kill stuff. They had to sacrifice things. And the creator basically don't like that shit. You're going to take one of my animals that I created and you're going to sacrifice it to me? Wait a minute. What the fudge are you doing? I created that goat. I created that pigeon. I created that. All those animals you see over there, God, created all those critters. but you're going to sacrifice them to me for me. But I created them. Why are you going to kill them for me? I don't want you to kill them. I created them. Are you not making what's wrong with this picture? Because only the devil needs blood sacrifices. God doesn't need a blood sacrifice. The Great Spirit doesn't need sacrifices. To be spiritual, you don't have to go out and kill something and go, I'm offering this up to the universe, unless you're just going to have, chicken for supper and you need to. I don't understand using killing something as being honorable, especially as the one in which yep. So, but there, see, with religion, you have to accept these things. And different religions, different practices, right? So, but the one thing that's so simple is to just accept and believe in the great spirit, the great creator. And that we all, because we're here, we all belong. Because we interact with each other, we all belong. And the lessons we learn is those lessons in life. And if it happens to rain on us one day, we have to learn how to adjust. We have to learn to accept that the rain, even though it messes up our day, is still needed by the universe. It's still needed by Mother Earth to grow things and to replenish the water in the ground and to, so, but I don't have to go kill a goat to ask the creator for it to rain. But back in the day, they even killed people, right? So, but this idea of sacrificing things to get the attention of God. So, but you say, well, Dave, what's that got to do with today? And there, you don't go to churches and they don't kill stuff. No, but the thing is that in order for you to belong to their church, you must learn to worship their God. That is the sacrifice. It's killing you. It's taking you away from spirituality and putting you into the realm of religiosity. Wait, I was spiritual. Yeah, but you got to be religious first. You can't be spiritual on your own. No, 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 no. You got to have God on your side. You got to have, yeah, but I just said, I believe in Jesus Christ. I just said, I believe in the Christ consciousness. That don't count. That's not a religion. So you got to believe in a religion if you're going to be saved. Oh, really? Let me have another 20 and think about that. So I guess I am just destined to go to hell or destined not to get into heaven. But that depends on what you consider as heaven or hell, right? So I still feel spiritual. I will not condemn anyone for being religious. If you're a Baptist, okie dokie. A friend of mine came by today, gave me a hug. He knows I don't go to church, but he knows how spiritual I am. He came in and started quoting the Bible and stuff. He knows that I understand, but I don't make him go away. I don't shun him in any way. We've had grand discussions of the Bible and what it says and so forth. I mean, like hours and hours, like 6, 7, 8 hours of discussion, where I got to the point where I said, go home, it's 3 in the morning, go home. We could pick this up another time. But at the time, it was necessary that we had that much time to discuss about all this. But so, and for me, I was trying to explain to him, I had religion a couple of times, but that I still have spirituality. I just gave up religion. I gave religion up for Lent, you know. So, but there are times when I still fast, regardless of what day or what holiday it might be, or what church day it might be, or what the church tells me I got to do. You have got to fast on this day. What if I don't want to? I mean, what if I just don't want to? Not on that day, but what if they say, well, you got to fast on Friday. And I'm like, no, I'm working on Friday and I need something to eat. I'm going to be busy and I got to have something to eat. Now, I'll tell you what I will do. I'll trade Friday for Sunday. I'll fast on Sunday. That don't count. Well, why? Now, because the Catholic Church said so years ago. You can't eat meat on Fridays. But, I'm hungry. And there ain't nothing else. I was working on the carnival in Plant City, Florida. And it's like, I've eaten nothing enough. I can't go out and get to. I'm starving. I had a hamburger. And I cried because I broke the law of Jesus. And then years later, they were like, Miss, eating meat on Friday. We just kind of made that up. What? Yeah, we just made that kind of, Jesus didn't have nothing to do with it. We just thought it'd be cool for everybody to eat more fish. So he said, you can't eat any other kind of meat on Friday except for fish. And, but that's sort of a meat too, but we're going to kind of sort of allow it. So you mean that time I ate that hamburger in Plant City, Florida, when I was starving to death and standing behind the cookhouse crying? And the man said, what you want? And I said, I'm Catholic and I'm not supposed to eat meat on Friday, but here's my $2. I want a hamburger with cheese, you know. And so, and the person laughed because he was like, but I'm Catholic too. Here's your hamburger, you know. So, but there were times when you had to break the rules for your own, I'm hungry and I got another 6 hours to work, I mean, I'm hungry. And, because I hadn't had anything to eat up to that point. Everything was rush, rush, rush. We'll get something when we get to the lot. Got to the lot, and there was nothing to eat but hamburgers and hot dogs, and it's Friday, and I'm Catholic, and I can't eat that stuff. So, but anyway, I had to go to a priest and ask him to forgive my sin of eating meat on Friday. And then a couple years later, they said, it's okay. If you want to not eat meat on Friday, but it's not mandatory anymore. And anybody who missed one in the past, you're forgiven. What the fudge? Do you know how much I've lost sleep over this stuff? I considered myself a good Catholic, but then you changed the rules. But it wasn't God's rule. Jesus didn't have nothing to do with that. It was a rule you made up. So you wonder why I don't want to be a part of any religion. Because the Catholic Church made shit up. And they still do. Okay. So why would I want to believe in an institution that made shit up and told me that it was a crime against the church and against God and that I should repent? Trust me, don't even meet on Friday. Repent. It was a big deal back then. And then they just changed the rule. Wait a minute. So if I just stick with my own spirituality, and if I don't involve myself in none of this religious stuff, if I just stick with spirituality, I feel that Christ consciousness all the time. I feel that the Great Spirit is with me all the time. Now, Hawkeye, you say, well, how do you know that? How can you express that? It's because religion ain't getting in my way. What? Religion makes you feel guilty. They put things in your brain. If you don't do it like this, then God ain't gonna love you. And if you don't say that prayer like this, then God ain't gonna hear you. And Jesus ain't gonna love you. And but wait a minute, I still feel close to the Creator. I still feel that my prayers are being heard. I have prayed for other people and they've gotten well. But I don't have religion. My simple spirituality is my religion. I still read the Bible sometimes. I read other texts as well. Because I am still in search of not necessarily the true meaning of spirituality, but what is meant by spirituality by other folks, by other religions, by other peoples, by other races, by other entities. What does spirituality mean to you? Well, it means religion. Okay. If you feel you got to have religion to be spiritual, I'm with you. It doesn't mean I'm going to join your church, but I'm with you because I understand the necessity and the need for people to have a religion to be, they got to have this thing to hold on to. And you say, well, I'm saying this. So I asked the question, so you believe in this invisible deity called God? You're willing to bow down on bended knee every Sunday and sometimes on Wednesdays to worship these entities because this book called the Bible says so, and the Ten Commandments in the Bible say so. Is that correct? Yep. But so you believe in this invisible entity called God. You believe in these things and Jesus and all this stuff, right? Yep. But on your own, you don't believe that you have enough faith to just be spiritual. and that is enough. You don't have enough faith in yourself to just say, I feel close to God. I feel close to the Great Spirit. I feel close to my fellow human beings. And I feel honor and reverence to my fellow human beings. I wish to honor myself and honor others as spiritual beings, as being, as being part of this universe and the quantum entanglement. But you don't believe that. You tell me that you don't believe I have enough to just believe in what I just said. You, Christian, are telling me I have to belong to a church in order for Christ to come into my life and to be what I need to be. And the only way that I can ever get it right is to belong to a church or a religion. Because to not belong is to belong to a spiritual cult. There's got to be other people feel like you, that think like you, that religion is not necessary. That is cult like. It's all there is to it. And so, therefore, the hypothesis is, and the hypotenuse of this, if you're just a spiritual being, you obviously belong to a cult because you don't belong to a religion. You don't worship a God. You don't believe in the Ten Commandments. You don't believe in the sanctity of the Pope. You don't believe in all of this church horse shit. No, sorry, I don't. I don't believe in any of that. I believe that every single one of us on this planet are spiritual beings, regardless of religion. And I believe each one of us has the potential to, quote, get into heaven because we're all going to die. We're all going to make the transition to the other side, and we're all going to find out what it's all about when we get there. Now, with that said, I'm going to mention this at the end of this, sort of wrapping up. I've talked with other people, other patients in the hospital. Have you been under the knife? Yeah. Where did you go when you went under? Did you go and have a chat with God? I remember talking with this old gentleman on fourth floor there in the hospital, and we're having this conversation about the white room. That when I was knocked out, I could feel myself and that I was in a white room. I've talked about this before after my operations. They bring you so close to death, right? Now, I have been knocked out and resuscitated after I don't know how many hours when I watched myself being carted off by the two spirits when I was down in the swamp that time. And so, in having this conversation with other people who had the near death experience through surgery, because you're brought right to that place, right? And we're not in an operating room, but it is a white room. It's translucent or opaque or something. It's lit, but not bright. You can see everything, but there's nothing to see. But you know that you're somewhere. And so, in having talked with this gentleman, and then as we were chatting, somebody was walking up and down the hall of the hospital room or floor, and they heard us chatting, knocked on the door, and came in and joined the conversation. So we were all old people, okay, but each one of us related to each other the fact that we, as I was describing it with my friend there on the floor, that this third person came in and said, I felt the same way. I saw the same thing. It was the same way for me as well. And the conversation was, because I sort of brought it up, how close to death we all were. Yeah, that's true. When they put you out, they put you right, they make you sign the paper that says, if I should die before I wake. So it's like, so, but then I listen to folks who have had near death experiences. And I talked to God and I saw this and my whole life went before me. But then you talk to people who've been this close to death who all talk about the white room. So the discussion between us was, and I've had this discussion with other people too, that the white room, at least two other people, but in the white room, um, in the white room, the cream. Um, but in the white room, it's that there was we weren't scared, we didn't feel apprehensive, we didn't feel like, but that we felt like that we were in a waiting room, that our near death experience was that we were in a white room and we were in a waiting room. There wasn't anything to fear. And, we all got put under in the same way with our anesthesiologist person in the operating room. We all went through similar things before we got knocked out, right? But so afterwards, each one of us, because each one of us had a different religious upbringing, each one of us had a different religious point of view as to where we were. I don't believe it either. Believe what? So, but anyway, in the white room, I forget the words, but it was one of my favorite songs by the Cream. I've waited so long till the sun comes shine. Oh, you said no strings could secure you at the station. Ba, da, ba, ba. Anyway, I'll have to find the song and play it now. I've waited so long. Do the dun, 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 dun. Anyway, so what has that got to do with the cult or religion or God or the Great Spirit? Because we were all in that mindset stage that each one of us in the who are brought so close to this death thing, we were in the waiting room. but none of us panicked. We all felt somehow closer to the other side, even though we were just in the waiting room. Now, is that purgatory? Is the reason we all were so close to death, honestly, because they make you sign a paper that says you're going to be really close to death. And if you keep going, well, we want everybody to know where you signed this piece of paper. So, but, and with all the people that I've talked to about this, it has been the white room. Now, I question the people who say they talk to Jesus. Did you really talk to Jesus? And this, hang on a second before you get pissed off. Did you really have a conversation with Jesus, or because you were in that near death experience, your religion had you talk to Jesus? Hey, Bernicia, what you doing? So even though it happened to be us three gentlemen in the hospital that were talking at the same time about this, that it was like, did your life flash before you? Nah. Did you hear God? Well, not necessarily. And that was sort of how I felt. It's like I didn't really hear anything, but there was this presence. And so that we could tell by the presence outside of this white room, or maybe it was up in the ceiling or something, Um, but we knew that there was a presence there. Now, it's true that we're laying on an operating table, and it's true we got the anesthesiologist there, and it's true there's a bunch of stuff going on, and it's true that we could have a shared experience of being in a white room. Well, now, it was because you were on I was laying on my face, so I couldn't see a big bright light. That's number one. Number two, I saw the operating room and it doesn't look anything like this white room. you know, I've seen a couple of other operating rooms and they don't look like nothing like what this white room looks like or feels like. Okay. So while in the white room, there was this feeling. Having been in several operating rooms these last 2 years, I can tell the difference. So when I can say, my near death experience on the operating table, I was in a white room. So was I, says this other guy. So was I, says this other person out in the hall. So was I, as I talked with this about somebody else. So was I, said this other person. Well, I was in this white room. Did you feel like you were being operated on? No. I kind of felt like I was dead. I was floating, but I wasn't. I was standing in this room. And I looked down and there wasn't no floor, but I wasn't sinking through it. And there were walls, but there wasn't walls. And, and I could walk around and everything, but, and I could remember I was having thoughts about things, but I was, it wasn't about God or, I was just standing there, just sort of hanging around. The Book of Thomas gives me chills. Yeah, no, I've got the book. I think I gave that book actually to someone, but I've read it, but I haven't read it in a while. But so anyway, having experienced, these operations that put you really close to death, my thinking about people who have talked to Jesus, who saw God, who was shown things and then brought back. I'm not going to discount them. My question is, were these people during that time, religiosity was their main reason for feeling, thinking, having those kinds of visions? Was there a circumstance? Maybe it was the circumstance that put them in their near death, or they were dead and they brought them back. My friend Randy they had to bring him back 3 or 4 times. And then there's the other Randy, and they had to bring him back like a dozen times down in Tallahassee. So it's like, thank goodness they didn't have to do that to me. They just had to wake me up. But to the point of being at that point where the brain is dead, but it's still functioning, you're still in there. You're still alive, but in the white room, patiently waiting. So now we were all religious people, the 3 of us standing in the room and the other 2 people I talked to, but we weren't religious cult worshipers. We believed in Jesus, we believe in God, and we believe in, and they believe in the 10 Commandments, and they believed in, and they went to church, but they weren't these Christian cult worshipers. So it was like, did you see God when you were out? No. Did you see, no. How did you feel during this? Now, I was asking questions because it was like, and I was giving them my perspective too, but, I was like, I felt this way. How'd you feel about this? So there were 3 of us that had faced death just within the last day. And the 3 of us are talking about our experience. That none of it related to a God or to the other people I've spoken to. None of it related to a God. So were none of us worthy to hear the word of God? Now, I had learned some things spiritually from it after these effects, after waking up and going, wow, man, that's close to death right there. I was out for 4 hours and wow, that was a hell of an experience. But did God talk to you? No. Did you relive your childhood? No. But it kind of feels spiritual. And it's sort of hard to explain. Because after all, I was in the white room. And we all agreed that the white room was special. And that the white room was comforting. And the white room was this. And in certain ways, in it just being calm, the calmness of the white room was sort of spiritual in and of itself. The experience was. So, did we experience heaven? Oh, we didn't hear God. But now, these people that claim that they've had chats with God, can I believe them? I want to say, okay, but none of the people that I have talked to that have had these same things, they didn't talk to God. Now, Randy said that he talked to this person who said, you can't stay here, you got to go back. And I've had that conversation myself when I had the first back surgery 2.5 years ago. It was like, nah, you can't stay here, you got to go back. And so it's like, well, okay. um so over the last 4 other operations and being knocked out, actually 5, the answer has been the same. You can rest here a while, but you can't stay. Chloe, I talked to but to the Creator all the time too, and but I listen to my spirit guides, and we have chats all the time. But um, sort of my point, but you're sort of making for me, is that do you have to have a near death experience to have a talk with Jesus? Gonna have a little talk with Jesus, gonna tell him all about my problems. So, do you have to die to have it? And that maybe, just maybe, it's your religion that speaks to you. Now, there was a young child who came back and said, God taught me all these stuff and everything. And it's like, okay, I just wonder, after hearing some of these folks, I just wonder if it wasn't religion that talked to him. Well, what do you mean, Dave? Well, what I mean is that spirituality doesn't need a God. It doesn't need commandments. It doesn't need, oh, you got to worship and do some of the things some of these folks. I'm like, wait a minute. Me and some other folks have been real close to the other side, and no offense, but we didn't feel that way. We still don't feel that way. And it feels odd that you claim that we should feel that way. So, but some of these folks being spiritual just ain't enough. If you're just spiritual, then you must belong to a cult. And I'm sorry, my friends, I am not a cult leader, but I absolutely believe it's spirituality. I absolutely believe that we are all members of the League of Like Minded Beings. We are all human beings. We are all experienced. I believe that. And I don't need a religion to tell me whether I'm right or wrong. I don't need a religion like the Catholic Church, who condemned me for eating meat on Fridays. I will never forgive them for that. So all the tears, I mean, I was anguished. I'm crying. I had to eat a hamburger because I was hungry. Had to go and say, oh my God. And the church just made it up. However, we were forgiven for our sins. But so I know if I've done something wrong. I know what it would be like to do something wrong, and I avoid it because I don't want to, right? So, but in my past, oh yeah, I've got a lot to be grateful for. And there are times when I go, I wasn't an evil person, but I pulled a couple of nasties along the way. Nothing bad, but they weren't real nice. I was not the nicest person. Hollered at a few people, shook my fist at a few, and but so at this point, do I deserve the life that I have now? I'm 72. I'm retired. I went to the heart doctor the other day. He said my cholesterol was so good. He was amazed. My LDLs and all that kind of stuff was perfect. Um, some of my other levels and stuff was perfect. For having heart issues and for being 72, he was like, "You're pretty damn healthy." So that's something to be grateful for. But at the same time, in my being grateful to the universe and that my heart condition has gotten slightly better, it's slightly improved, it hasn't gotten worse. So that's all good news. But I was thinking, man, I was watching something and it's like, when I was a kid, I did. And I was like, yeah, when I was a kid, oh shit, I forgot. When I was a kid, we did that. Oh, that wasn't really nice, So, in retrospect to my earlier life, I'm like, man, I did some crappy shit. I didn't even know it. But now, do I deserve the life that I have now, which is basically retired and uncomplicated? Okay. So even though I'm in a lot of pain, and even though no, I have not yet, but it is about 2. I slept till 3 o'clock this afternoon. So at 3 o'clock will be 12 hours, by the way. Just chatting with Chloe and listening to you. That's okay. God said it will, God said it will be them first to feel the wrath. But so anyway, it's the fact that Christians have pointed their finger at me, literally pointed their finger at me and said, you ain't going to heaven because, you don't have a church. Was it an alarm? No, it was just a notification that I got something on my phone. Something came in, whatever. It could be, uh, somebody from YouTube or something has posted something, but that's what it is. So, but in my realm of thinking, in my spiritualness, I won't condemn somebody for their religion unless it's like Satanism or something. But at least they believe in something. And there are some Satanists are probably more godly than some of these Christians. So they're like, oh man, we just wipe them out, just kill them all. And, that's not necessarily the Christian way. Okay. So, but, in this near death experience, I'm honestly not condemning what these folks are saying, but I'm curious as to whether or not religiousness had anything to do with what they bring back, you know? Because a lot of times it's like, man, it sounds like somebody's sermon, on a Sunday. And it's like preaching. And it's like, wait a minute. I've been in similar situations, and all I remember each time was the white room, along with all these other people I've talked to. We've all been in the white room. How come none of y'all talk about the white room? Have y'all actually done what you said you did? Well, I died and I talked to the Lord. Okay. I'm sure you talked to someone, and I'm not discounting it. But what you bring back is a bunch of religion. And there is no religion on the other side. I'm here to tell you there is no religion on the other side. Religion stays here when you die. Religion does not follow you to the other side, but spirituality does. When you get to the other side, there ain't nobody over there going, okay, all the Catholics line up over here, you Baptists over there, and you Pentecostals way over there. It is not like that. But here's the thing, Chloe. Everyone is worthy because the concept of God does not exist on the other side like it does here. Nope. That's what the Bible teaches you. That's not actually what's going to happen. You don't bow to anyone. Number one, because there's no actual bowing. You're a spirit. And because we are all equal in the eyes of the Lord, none of us have to bow to him. We can wave and go, hey, how you doing over there? But so when you get to the other side, religion ain't there. It ain't there. So all these folks that think that religion is going to save them, hey, you better learn to be spiritual, because religion stops at the door. It just does. Go ahead, bitch at me, say I don't know what I'm talking about. I have been in that state so many times. And the message that I got every single time was, religion doesn't come with you. Religion stays here. Nothing goes with you. Nothing. Nothing. Only your consciousness goes with you. And only your spirituality goes with you. None of this other shit matters. But I don't see God or Creator, Great Spirit, as a human. Because it ain't. it's an entity of all things. That's just it. There is no entity that is God. Get that out of your heads. There is no entity that is God. Nope. Nope. Because the entity is all around. It's not a singular thing. You can say, well, God is the entity, but the entity is everything. So wait a minute. Wait. So God is not a single entity. Is no single entity. It ain't there. So that's one of the things that's going to blow people's minds when they do get to the other side and they go, hey, where's God? And they were like, you didn't listen to Hawkeye, did you? You know, what? Because God is all around. Yeah, I know, but where is he? Dumbass. God is all around? Yeah, okay. God is all knowing. I know that. But where is he? Dumbass. God is all around. It's all around you, man. Let's have another 20 and think about this, man. It's about that time anyway, man. Pray tell, what in the hell are you talking about? So when you die, when you have these near-death experiences, most of us is that I've talked to, we go to the white room, and sometimes there's conversation, sometimes there's music playing in the background. Jesus loves the little children, all little children of the world. You know, that's playing in the background. But when it comes time for, hey, are you a Catholic? Hey, are you a Baptist? Hey, are you Jewish? Ain't none of that on the other side. What matters is your spirit. What matters is your soul. What matters is your energy, your vibrational energy. That is what's matter. That is what matters. Yeah. None of this other stuff. Well, but I ate a hamburger one time on Friday, and the Catholic Church said it was a sin. What about that? Ain't St. Peter? Ain't that in your book somewhere? Oh, where's St. Peter at? Oh, that's made up too, huh? That's part of that religion thing. Yeah. Well, what about the book of life? Well, there is sort of that. The records of all lives are stored, in the universal library, but am I going to be condemned? Is your name Hitler? No. Is your name Mussolini? No. Is your name Stalin? No. Go on in. Is your name Hirohito? No. Is your name Chiang Kai-shek? No. Go on in. Who the hell was Chiang Kai-shek? Look it up. Um, Chairman Mao's over there in the corner, though. Chairman Mao's just sitting over yonder. You can go play mahjong with him. So, where people get so hung up about religion and point their fingers at other people like me, because I'll talk spirituality with them all day long. And, and they'll hang in there with me and they're like, yeah, Dave, I agree. Yeah, Dave, I did. That's true. Yeah, Dave, I true, but I believe that. And yeah, Dave, I believe that. And then they look at me and they go, but how come you don't go to church? How come you don't read your Bible every day? Well, because I read the Bible and I got the message and I'm good with it. What? Jesus came to give us a message. I read all four, of the main gospels there, and Paul was a fruitcake, so never mind him. But so I've read and they all talk about, how Jesus rose from the dead and he died for our sins, and and I believe all that. So what? Well, but you got to keep reading the Bible. Why? Do I have to keep reading Moby Dick to understand that the whale gets him in the end, and that Ahab was a son bitch, and that Mr. Christian? No, wait, that was a different book. But anyway, so do I have to keep reading Moby Dick to know that the whale? So why do I have to keep reading the Bible? If I got God's message, if I understand Jesus, and I read them, so, and I tell you that I'm good with it, who are you to tell me that I'm not? Because I have read the Gospels. I have read the Bible. I have done these things. Can I quote verse? And never could do that. Nope. And so, and I'm not going to go reading the Bible to the point where I have to memorize it so I can spout off verses. No, ain't into that. But so I have read the Bible. I do get the message. So you have to keep reading the Bible. Yep. You have to keep reading the Bible because you didn't get the message. What are you talking about, Mr. Dave? Well, what do you mean I didn't get the message? Well, are you still reading your Bible? Yes. Well, you must not have got the message. How dare you say that to me? Well, how dare you say to me that because I don't read the Bible all the time, that I'm not getting the message? What if I already got it? Do I have to keep reading Moby Dick every time to remember that the whale gets him in the end? The Old Man in the Sea. I love that story. I love the book. But do I have to keep reading it over and over and over and over again to understand that the old man, his fish got eaten by the sharks, and that he spent that time on the sea, and that everybody thought he was dead and all that. So How many times do I have to read Old Man in the Sea to get the plot of the story and to understand it? So I go back to it and reread it once in a while. I go back and reread other stories and sometimes plays and things. So it's like because I enjoyed them. So, but if I've read the Bible and I think I got the message, sometimes I'm prompted to read the Bible, and I do. But the fact that if I don't read the Bible, you are going to point your finger at me and tell me that I'm not worthy? What? I'm not worthy because I don't do like you do? And my spirituality, I'm thinking of a particular person right now that I had this discussion. And you think that my spirituality isn't good enough when we get to the pearly gates. You read your Bible all the time. You go to church on every Sunday, and this is what you believe. But even though you have agreed with me all the way up to here, like 95%, and then we got to the question of church and religion, and all of a sudden my 95% is not worth a dime. Not at all. You say, well, you believe all this stuff, but it ain't no good. What do you mean? I believe all the same stuff that you do all the way to here. But because I don't read the Bible like you do, because I don't go to church on Sundays, then none of the rest of the stuff that I do or believe in matters. Because it's religion that's going to save you. And I was like, well, when we get to the pearly gates, we'll see. And she was like, well, I guess we should cop this attitude. And she was like, well, I guess we will. You'll be standing outside. I'll be inside. And I'm there like, you can get locked in there. I'm going to go on and I'll go explore the rest of the universe. You can go on in and let them lock the door behind you. Not me. And she was like, what? And I said, yeah, being locked in heaven would be like hell to me. What? So you want me to go to hell? You would lock me in heaven. What? Yeah. So the devil made me do that. What? What are you talking about, Dave? So because I'm just simply a spiritualist, I believe in Jesus, I believe in this, and I believe, but and I'm not condemning anybody. I'm not pointing anything, but have been condemned because I don't believe in religion. I have been condemned. I'm not going into heaven by true Christian people that have been blessed by the Lord. And little old me is standing out in the rain dancing because the Creator will have rained upon me and washed my sins away and brought forth new energy with new water from the sky. Water energy to run down me and get in me and to soak into me. And the Spirit of the Lord will fill me up from the rain showers that come. While all them religious folks are going to be in the church complaining because it's raining. I'm not worthy, but they seem to think that they are. I will not condemn them, but they have already condemned me. And for those of us that feel like this, Because if you're only going to be spiritual without being religious, then you must belong to a cult, because that's what them religious people understand. They do not understand that I can be just as close to Jesus as them without going to a church. And that right there is blasphemy. And I want to say, dear friends, do not let these people scare you into religion. If you want to read your Bible once in a while and you don't go to church, don't worry about it. Don't let these people make you feel guilty. Just like the Catholic Church did to me and to us. There was other folks too. Can't can't eat meat on Friday. It's a sin. Got to, do these things. You got to, confess it to the priest, and you got to. And then they went, we were just joking, you know. So religion will try to make you feel guilty. You must be guilty of sins. Who are you to tell me what a sin is? And you're trying to call me a sinner because I don't go to church. I don't worship your God. So I'm the sinner here. Wait a minute. In my world, you condemning me because of my beliefs, which are very similar to yours, I might add, how can you point the finger? Doesn't it say in the Bible that you cannot condemn another, or that, that you shouldn't be pointing the finger at other people? I mean, so you being the good Christian are sinning much more than I am, because I'm not condemning you, but you're condemning me for not going to church. So you're breaking that law, right? You're condemning folks. You're doing what the Bible says you shouldn't do. Exactly what Jesus was talking about, Ye have no way, to cast the first stone. You ain't got no business throwing stones at nobody, you know. You and your highfalutin Christian church ain't got no business throwing rocks. A true Christian preacher would be, hey, come on in. I know there's this lady in the back that keeps throwing rocks, but you just collect them rocks and bring them on in. We're not throwing them at nobody. And if you'll pick them up so she can't throw them no more, but a good Christian preacher would not condemn you for your not going to church. They would suggest that you come to church for fellowship. I could see that. But to go to church to worship, ain't doing it. Tried it, gave it up. I'm sticking with the Creator is all around me and you, around us, and through the universe. So I'm connected to the Creator all the time. Creator hears my prayers. Creator knows where my heart is and what my heart is. And so I won't condemn them, but I am going to talk about them. Not give out their names or nothing, but I am going to talk about them. And I'm going to pray that they will understand what they have done by condemning me by not going to church, that by them pointing their finger at me and telling me that I'm the one that's sinning and I'm the one that's wrong, that I hope they understand one day that, oops, I goofed up. Believe what you believe, but quit pointing your finger, you know? I could point to all them church going folks over there and go, every one of them folks condemned me. But I ain't going to do it. But I am going to say that there are people who have condemned me for the things that I mentioned. who are good Christian people. And to me, those are the folks who belong, who are in the cult, because they have to worship this one. They have to do these things for the one. They have to do blah, 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 for the one. And that's part of the cult. So, but anyway, I want to say I love you all. I continue to pray that each and every day, that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings from our Creator and from the universe. Say a prayer, mention it out loud, because the vibrations go into the universe. Yes, Chloe, I'll take my pills as soon as I get done here, and I'm fixing to leave. So, but finish this 20, this to the end, and I gotta collect. I gotta go to the toity. I have to take my meds, but don't let people, please, don't let people shame you into becoming religious because they tell you you're not qualified to get into heaven. Don't fall for it, please, 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 please. They will do their best to convince you that your spirituality ain't enough. You ought to hear, have a good night, and I hate you. Who is that? Yeah, well, I've only been on here for 2 hours and 17 minutes. And my butt aches. I got a shift. Uh, hey, Paladin, what y'all doing? So there are folks who think that, that when you die, you're not going to be accepted by the other side. And I'm here to tell you, when you die, you're going to be on the other side, whether you like it or not, you know. And this idea of being accepted or not is just plumb stupid, because you ain't coming back this way. You're going to be on the other side. You're going to be in the other dimension. You are not going to be here. Yeah, but Dave, but yeah, we're all the same. When we cross over, we're all the same. You know, some energies are going to shine a little brighter or real bright from others. But St. Peter is not standing by the pearly gates. It is not that. And that's going to freak people out. Their essence, that when they get to the other side, they're going to go, well, wait a minute. I had all this religion in me. And religion told me that I was going to have to get it. Where's St. Peter? There's going to be somebody going, oh, no, not another Christian. Some bitch, you know. Hey, we got another Christian just made it over. What? All you Christians go over there and sit around, and you're going to have to get a grip. But for those of us who've been spiritual for a long time, we understood it would be more like this. We understood the spiritual side of things, where all you all could do was understand, rather bumpily and regretfully, the religious part of it. Because they said, if you're religious, you'll get in. You were going to get in no matter what. You should have learned about spiritual. Just saying. Now, I know I'm just an old cranky man, but I've been through several religions. I still believe in Jesus Christ. I am still a warrior for Christ. Mother Mary spoke to me years ago, a couple of times in between, and still believe in that. And her message to me was to teach people about being spiritual without a religion. So I'm still on my mission. You hear that? I'm still on mission. I'm still on tack. So this is not a time to be condemning each other. This is a time when we should find what makes us like minded beings, you know, members of the League of Like Minded Beings. Drop religion. Do we think alike on this? Yep. Do you think alike on this? Yep. Do you think alike? Well, not alike, but very similar. Okay, that's acceptable. Then that's our spirituality, our thought process, how we feel the same in these things, which are all respectable, good, human type spiritual things that, wow, we belong to this club. Oh, some bitch. That lady over there just called us a cult. Yeah, you see that lady over there? Yeah, she called us a cult because we don't have a religion, but we are all members of the League of Like Minded Beings. That, my friends, is the cult that we belong to. Oh man, some bitch. I thought I was going to get out of this, right? No, we're members of the League. God Almighty. Do you believe it's a cult? No, it's it's just how we think, right? Yeah, but that lady over there says we're a cult because we think alike like this. Well, son bitch. And she says that but if we was to get religion, it'd be okay. So all we got to do is accept religion and it'll be all right. Yep. Forget about it. So it does sound good. And pour it over some cake or something anyway. So my dear friends, don't let the religious folks try to shame you into believing that you're not worthy. Are you spiritual? Are you doing the best you can? Don't fret it. Don't let these other folks, let them point their fingers at you. Don't let it bother you. Are you doing your best to be spiritual? Somebody said, I was in the new age stuff. And then I realized that Jesus was already there and I didn't need none of this new age stuff. And I was like, groovy. And then the next sentence was, so I threw out all my crystals. And I was like, dumbass. God made those crystals, dumbass. Maybe God was speaking to you through those crystals, you dumbass. But because you have crystals, you think it's new age. And you say, I have crystals all over the house, I'm a new ager. Maybe I just like rocks, right? But that makes me new age. And I can't believe in the same God that you believe in because I believe in the energy of the rocks. I believe the energy in trees. I believe in the energy of plants. You want me to destroy the plants over there in the corner that have been with me for the last 15 years? Because, oh my God, the devil is making those plants grow in here. Oh, wait a minute, because I heard Jesus, and I was, and now I'm doing, and so I'm no longer new age. Oh, sir, you're old age. You fell back a bunch. So you threw out all your candles. You threw out your sage. You threw out your rocks, all your crystals. You threw out everything that you thought that connected you somehow to some new age spiritualness that was somehow evil and being directed by the devil. My response to listening to him was I couldn't listen anymore. But my response to that was I think the devil got in you and told you to throw all your shit away. you know, that you were saved by the Lord. And the Lord told you to throw all that stuff out. What? Were you using those things for some kind of nefarious thing? Now, maybe you were praying and doing spells or something like, okay, but you're going to throw out your crystals because you got them when you were thinking New Age. And now that you're saved by Jesus, you can't have them anymore. I'm sorry. I don't get that. I think the rocks and things and sage is just good cleansing, that somehow that is demonic. You traded that in for religion to where now you worship an invisible deity. You didn't do that before, but now you do. Because religion saved you from New Age thinking. And therefore, I must be a cult. Yep, that's right. Hey, Lucky, how you doing? One finger here and three pointing back. But to this person who was adamant about, if you still have crystals and stuff, you can't be a Christian. It was like, as a Christian, I was saved by Jesus, and he made me throw all this stuff out. And I was like, God, that don't sound like Jesus to me, but okay, if you insist. If that's where your brain goes, but you see, this person's brain didn't go to Jesus. This person's brain went to religion. And religion said he couldn't do it. Jesus didn't say a damn word about his crystals. I just bet you. But those spiritual beings that are tied into them religions made him shameful of the fact that he had crystals. And because he had crystals, that is what tied him to New Age. The candles that he had tied him to New Age. Wait a minute. You ain't never been in a Catholic church when they light all the freaking candles? I used to go around and light the candles. So this idea that you got rid of candles because it was New Age is stupid. And there were some other things too. And I was like, you did what? Because Jesus told you, huh? Man, oh man, oh man. I've had my little talk with Jesus over the years with other people. And none of us threw our candles out, for crying out loud. None of us threw our sage out. but we still talk about Jesus. We still talk about the Bible. But, you know, but because I got a bundle of sage over here, I am now a New Ager. I am now a part of a cult because I'm a New Ager, because I burn sage, because I have crystals around me and over there and hanging up and a great big one down here. And because I have them here in the house and because I believe in them, the power of the crystals, because it's the frequency and the good energy. I mean, they use crystals in watches and stuff, and crystals are in all kinds of things. So crystals bad, ooh, bad, right? No, only if you use them for bad. And crystals won't allow themselves to be used for bad. They'll break and crack but anyway. So, but because this person who's got a YouTube channel now, and I have changed my evil ways. I am now a believer in Jesus. I am now a believer in Christ. And I've thrown away all of my new age stuff. And you all now should stop and believe me and believe in me because I gave up all this stuff because they said so. And I'm like trying to listen, right? I'm trying to listen to this gentleman. And the more I listened, I was like, oh my God, is he now a Jehovah Witness, for crying out loud? Oh, please. Oh, please. Because it sounds like you've been brainwashed by a Jehovah Witness. Because you can't have this, can't have that, you can't do this, can't do that. Well, I mean, what he was talking about was worse than the Catholic Church. At least you can still have, incense and candles. So what religion did he get swiped by? I'm like, holy crap. Um, but the idea that you have to conform to these things, you have to become cult like in order to become a part of their cult, in order to be a part of their religion, in order for you have to believe the way they do. So you can't have this and you can't have that and you can't do this and you can't do that. And so it is like, so in this regimental stuff that is religion, that if you do these things, it will automatically make you more spiritual. And that, my friends, is bullshit. I'm sorry. That's just plain out and out bullshit, you know. And now here I am at 3 a.m. making a cake to go with the peaches. I hate you. Yeah, I know the feeling. Well, I was just thinking of, like one of them little, you get packages of them little strawberry shortcake things, the little cakes with a dip in them, and you can put your strawberries or whatever fruit in them, and a little bit of whipped topping on the top of that. Yeah. I'm going to have to go get a cupcake or something. My coffee's cold, which I don't mind, but, now my mouth is watering and I got to go pee. And it's been almost 3 hours. And so, my dear friends, I do continue to pray that each and every day, that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings from the universe. And just sort of as an aside note to you, my friends, this particular subject has been rolling around in my head for a couple of days. And I get these little impressions on little notes and things. They're like on post-it notes, right? And from my spirit guides, right? Oh, they must be the devil. Well, but here's the thing. As I discuss this, as I run it by myself through my filter and everything, I go, now, does any of this, I know to an outsider, I know because I've had this conversation with this particular Christian that I had this conversation with. And she was going to make it into heaven, but I wasn't because of that 5% there at the end, when we were comparing notes. And so it's like, but wait. So you ain't getting there, Dave, because you ain't going to church. But all of this and this and this, I've helped your son out. I've done this. I've helped that. I've not asked for anything in return. I did it out of the goodness of my heart. But even though I did it out of the goodness of my heart, and I done these things for your son, when you wouldn't, but you're gonna make it to heaven before I do, because I don't go to church. Even though I've done these things above and beyond, and you would think that what I did for your son and for you, but what I've done for your son does not qualify as a good enough deed without going to church to make it into your heaven. Even though you're the one that's condemning me, even though your son is the one that I helped, even though, and I mean, for a while there was craziness. And even though I did these humanitarian things because God spoke to me and said I need to help that man, even though I did that, I don't qualify. Ain't that some shit? Ain't that some shit? You help a Christian out doing Christian things, but because you don't go to their church, you ain't going into their heaven. And so to all of that, I say blasphemy. To all of them people who still point their fingers, I do not belong to a cult. I belong naturally to the League of Like-Minded Beings. I am a child of the universe. When I believe in Jesus Christ, I believe in the Holy Spirit, I believe in the Creator. And if that ain't good enough, when I get to the other side, I'll have a talk with St. Peter. Now, that's a joke, son. I can talk to St. Peter before I go. But anyway, so I love you all. Please be safe. There's a lot of folks who are trying to convince you that what you believe ain't enough. And it's just, but I believe it. Yeah, but do you believe it down deep in your heart? Yes, I believe it. But have you been baptized, as a matter of fact, several times? But but you don't belong to, have you given your heart to Jesus? Yes, actually. All you got to do is say, I give my heart to Jesus, and it's a done deal if you truly believe it. So, do you truly believe that good deeds will help you on the other side? Yes. So, believe in them things. Don't waste your time on a God. Don't waste your time on what religion says you got to believe in order to make it on the other side. Trust me, me and a bunch of others have been really close to the other side. And I think I've crossed it once or twice myself. But the fact that when you get there, all this other stuff is just hooey. None of it's going to matter. The only place it matters is in this 3D realm that we exist in now. It's the only place it matters. And that don't matter here either, except in society. You go to church on Sundays? No. You must belong to a cult. You must be one of them pagans. You must be one of them. Have a good day, Christian. Mr. Christian. So I grew up on a farm, goat, sheep, rabbit, manure for plants, horse manure. Yeah, horse manure will burn your stuff up. Or unless you got to let horse manure sit for a while. And I say that because I used to work for a horse farm, and well, riding stables. But anyway, a lot of horse manure, a lot of hay. So I'd clean out the stalls and put it in a trailer and bring it home. But you had to let it age, you know. I had to let it age, and then you mixed it in. But anyway, uh, and 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 cow manure too. You know, you don't take the sloppy cow manure home and try to put it in. No, you wait till it's a clump, and then you end up having to break it up into pieces. But to that point. But so anyway, um, so there's been a lot of changes since Jesus was here, but all the changes are related to churches, you know, and to what society feels about these religions. And was reading something today, who was John Adams or somebody, you know, that the United States of America is based upon religious and moral values. That's true. And the belief in God, okay. So, you know, and that's true. I believe that fundamental, but it's how that God is perceived. So, my belief in God as the Holy Spirit, as the great creator, to me, is the same as your God. But you folks, I say you, them folks, don't see it the same way as I do. My God ain't the same as yours. No. If you want to believe in my God, you got to go to church on Sundays. Some bitch, you know. Okay. So, but anyway, my dear friends, have a safe and happy tomorrow. May your Wednesday today be a good one. And I know the holidays are coming up. You know, for them folks out yonder, and just don't let them shame you. You know, shame on you. You don't, your God can't be as good as mine because my battery is low on this thing already. Boy, this battery don't last long. 3 hours and it goes dead. Wow. Gonna have to plug it in. Okie dokie, my friends. Another good reason to, because I'm sharing this plug behind me. So anyway, I love you. Please be safe, and we'll get together again soon. Um, I know my spirit guides are hollering at me. Somebody out there needs to know, don't let them shame you into being religious. Just don't. If you're spiritual at all, don't let them shame you. You know, you can find religion is in you. Your spiritualness is in you. I can't be spiritual for you, but we can be spiritual together. You can't be spiritual for me, but we can be spiritual together. Ain't nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with some kind of religion. Oh, we belong to a cult. Get that shit out your head. We are not a cult. We are members of the League of Like Minded Beings. And the Creator is like, cheers. So, cheers, my friend. Um, how's the picture quality and everything now that I ask you at the end? I got to make some adjustments still with this new computer, but thank you to Robert V for buying me this new computer for my Christmas present. So I hope your Christmas is as good as mine because I have a new computer. Picture's fantastic. It looks too dark on the screen, but very dark. Yeah, it's a lot different than my other camera that picked up the darkness better. Um, so I will make arrangements to try to change the video thingy before we talk again. I hope I might have to have another talk just so I can adjust the lighting. But anyway, so have a great day, y'all. I'm going to go take my meds now. It is it's dark but quality. Cool beans. Your computer's dead. I need to buy one. It was under warranty, so they will cut me a check soon. Well, that's cool. And may you find something that will, get you by. One of the things I did was I checked this computer, and this is not a complaint. Okay, this is not a complaint. And Robert, if you hear this, this is a statement. Back in the day, they, gave you a decent hard drive. You know, um, a half gigabyte, and you had some good DDR RAM and all that, and now they put in a certain amount of memory, and now the memory is shared. And it's like, wait a minute. So they don't really give you a hard drive. And the hard drive that's in here, over half of it is filled with Windows. So I can't really save a lot of stuff to the hard drive because there's not a lot of space on it. Now, interestingly enough, though, years ago, I bought a USB hard drive. But so now they don't put hard drives in these things, not to mount to anything. And, but hard drives don't cost that much. So you mean you can't stick a hard drive in these things? I know there's room because my hard drive and my thing is like anyway. I just find it interesting. When I found out where to find out what was in the computer, because I used to build computers for myself and others. So when I looked what's in it, I was like, they couldn't have put just a tad more hard drive in this thing. I mean, it don't cost that. You couldn't have put a tad more in here. Everything else is looking good, and screen quality and everything's good and so forth. But you couldn't have put a tad more hard drive space in this thing because you used over, there's 119 and like 78% of it is filled with Windows, the program that runs the computer, but there's no hard drive space. So, but anyway, so I love you all. Please be safe and stay healthy. If there's a space for it, you might be able to add it. Maybe, but here's the thing. I've got a hard drive. It connects through a USB port. So I do have a hard drive that I don't have to put in it, but yeah, it is. I can't wait. I gotta go. I gotta go to the toilet, and I don't have anything in my bowl. But I'll tell you what. In a couple of minutes, I'm gonna be doing it. So, and plus, I got to take my meds. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. Happy 420 in a couple of minutes. I got to get stuff out. I got to plug in the computer because the battery's dying. And I will talk to you soon. I love you, my friends. Please be safe. And think of me at 420. I'm going to be doing it with you, okay? But this battery's going to die, and I'm going to die, and I got to pee. Bye.